Recent data on South Korea's job market shows a record number of people in their 30s are currently unemployed and not making any effort to find work. There's also a heated debate in South Korea over whether the country should raise the retirement age to 65. For more on the domestic economy, we're joined today by Professor Kim Minkyun, professor at Sogang Business School. Professor Kim, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So why are so many people in their 30s not making any efforts to find work? What's your assessment of the country's labor market at the moment?
Well, if you look at the overall number for the employment rate, it looks okay because especially it gains because older ages, over 60, because they get a job and they're trying to make money. But if you look at the problems in those numbers, especially for 30s, well, if you look at the 30s, the number of people in 30s where they classify as resting. That means not working or not seeking work. Basically, the number of these people exceed the 334,000 in October. It's the highest number in 2003. Basically, what they have is, well, they want to work, but basically what they want to work for the jobs, but it's kind of a mismatch between the jobs they want to work for and the jobs they're going to get. So basically where those kind of things will happen in their 30s so that, well, they usually, basically they give up working on their 30s. So where those kind of problems, well, it's going to cause some problems, especially for, well, basically the labor supply and economy. Well, we're looking for the growth all the time, and especially economic perspective. But there are basically the ages that trying to work for 30s, basically. But those kind of mismatch happens. Well, the numbers will still have some problems in our employment rate.
I see. And another very controversial issue in the job market is whether the country should raise the retirement age from 60 to 65. Some say it's needed given the aging population in South Korea, but others say it could take jobs away from younger people. What's your take on this?
Basically, there are pros and cons on this. This perspective. Basically, Korea is becoming the old age, basically, where we are getting the old. So, well, the older people, of course, they're trying to work and they're trying to make money, but they are healthy, basically. But the problem is that if they're going to work, well, are they going to take the job for young people? That's kind of the one problem that we're going to have when you're trying to extend our age, basically the retirement age. So one issue is that, well, if we're going to delay those kind of retirement, then 0.4%, around 0.4% to 1.5% potential younger hires, basically, they're going to squeeze out. Well, so that, well, eventually, if we're going to extend our retirement age, well, we're going to take the jobs from young people. I think it's kind of they can expect and we can make a prediction. So what we're trying to do, but if we're going to extend our retirement age, where we're trying to work on the policy for re-employment contracts, or basically, well, we're trying to work on those kind of policy, and we're trying to find some ideas so that we can increase the opportunity for hiring for younger people, so that we can minimize those kind of damages in our labor market.
I see. And while that's happening, the Korean currency, the Korean won, is now approaching its weakest level since the global financial crisis struck more than 16 years ago, and housing prices are still surging. How might the current economic situation affect the Bank of Korea's decision on interest rates later this month?
Well, basically, I think the approach for the Bank of Korea is basically being very cautious. Well, so a lot of economists expect that on November, where they're going to maintain the steady, 2.50% in November meetings. Well, we have some issues, of course. If we're going to cut our rate, especially in Korea, well, first of all, of course, there's an importing inflation and the asset price, including the real estate bubbles. And those kind of the issues will come up. Well, but one of the issues that we always looking for is our household debt. well, one of the common issues that we're gonna have in Korea economy, well, those kind of issues always giving us some trouble, especially in when trying to work with those kind of monetary policy. So we have a lot of concerns and we have a lot of issues. So the Bank of Korea is being cautious, and we're gonna look at those kind of numbers for the employment, of course, all of the economic stats, and also we're going to look at the U.S. monetary policies, also one of the issues that we're going to look at. So the economy is not it's not going well right now. So I think the Bank of Korea is kind of very cautious for those kind of the monetary policy.
Right. And before I let you go, looking more broadly, gold prices have been surging recently. What's driving the trend?
Basically, the gold price is depending on the uncertainty. Well, even though U.S. government shutdown is kind of over, but we still have some issues, especially for the global economy and of course the domestic economy too. So, well, when you're trying to eliminate or when you're trying to minimize those kind of risks, especially for the investment, well, we are going for the safe assets. So gold is kind of one of the safe assets, very popular assets that we trying to make an investment. So basically, what you're trying to do, well, we're expecting that the gold price is going to go up. So, well, and we're going to trying to maintain the balance between the risk and those kind of the hedge on the asset that we're trying to make an investment.
I see. All right, Professor Kim, thank you so much for your time and insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for having me.